Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got the new little setup. We may do a little bit more of this in the studio. I got the little setup in the other room now, so we good. Let's get this going right here. Please make sure as you join that you like. That's only going to help the algorithm. What did I just touch? Just press something. Oh. Did I press something? Interesting. All right, so for whatever reason, it's only playing the song when I'm in the app. That's cool too. We're good? Yeah, I'm good. My mom just texted me. Moms, we're in. We are live. We are live. We are live. Grand Rising, good people. Y'all know what it is. Did everybody share? Did everybody like? We got a bunch of things to talk about today. Bunch of things to touch on today. Let me open up the notes. All right, so what do we have today? We're going to talk a little bit about this Candace Owens and Andrew Tate video. I'm not sure if y'all are aware Andrew Tate and Tristan got ran down on again. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We are going to talk about Spike Lee. We got a little cameo from Spike Lee at the Democratic National Convention. We're going to go through that. We got our little section of where we're going to go over something that Michelle Obama said in her speech. Then I think we have a couple other videos within that clip as well, where they're kind of just calling out some programmed media. Apparently the word electric, everybody was told to use the word electric. We may dive into a little bit of this Russell Crowe conversation with Joe Rogan. And then I have a question for y'all, and we're going to go through it. Are we living in the time of the dumbest and weakest people ever? Are we, myself included, are we the dumbest people ever? Are we the weakest people ever? Maybe I should just say, are we the weakest people ever from a mental, physical, across the board, spiritual standpoint? Then I have a question. Who's responsible for our low military numbers? Who's responsible for our low military numbers? It's something that never really gets factored into the conversation of who we're going to vote for president. But I have a couple questions regarding that. And we're going to look at maybe a little bit of this RFK video with 19 Keys. And we're going to identify why I'm going to tell you a little bit about why it's so disappointing if RFK does decide not to run. And then we got a couple other clips here and there that we will go through. So let me the music may shut off, but that is all good. Please, 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 as you're joining, please make sure that you like. Shout out to Lana in the building, always holding it down. Shout out to my brother Doug. He's live from Tampa at a conference, I believe. And then shout out to Urs, always showing love, man. And matter of fact, we may actually there's been a bunch of videos that Doug's been sending me, a bunch of different things that I think is pretty interesting. One is this Facebook video. I actually didn't have it on here saved. Hold on. Y'all just heard me saving it in the background. That's what y'all heard. That was Doug's video. So we may actually, do as we always do on Fridays, jump around a little bit. But we're built for it. We are built for it. Reminds me of yesterday. So I'll start off the show actually with this good word. This good word. Move this slightly. There we go. So yesterday, I was thinking about, I was talking to my partner, not my assistant. I don't like saying assistant. I was talking to OG Baywa, and we were talking about business, and we were talking about failing, and we were talking about the importance of failing. We're not failing enough. We're not failing enough. Now, what exactly do I mean by we're not failing enough? We're not putting ourselves in challenging enough situations to where we fail. It almost reminds me of, the reason why I don't eat meat, or I haven't had meat, fish, or eggs in almost 4 years, is because of a bet. It's because I decided to put myself in a challenging situation that I had no idea how I was going to get through it, but I knew if I committed to it, I'll lock in. We're not putting ourselves in challenging situations. When Bez bet me that I couldn't do a split, I accepted that real quickly. I failed, but what did it get me? It got me about 4 months of excessive stretching that I otherwise wouldn't have done. And I got to see some of the benefits of stretching and got to see how it impacts my body, how I move around, even my mental. We're not accepting the challenges. We are living in a society where we would rather match up against easy obstacles and easy challenges in order to build fake confidence. And when we put ourselves in easy situations, we may continue to get these wins and we may continue to build false confidence, but what we're not building with it is the tools and skills that come with overcoming challenges and obstacles from failure. You get what I'm saying? So when we put ourselves in these difficult situations and don't look at failure as oh my God, that's a terrible thing. No, failure is going to allow us to properly identify the areas in which we need to improve in. Simple. If I'm failing at something, then I need to put myself in situations where I'm constantly tested. Just like when you're doing a marketing campaign. How do you know if the marketing campaign is doing well? You have to test it out, right? So this is no different. We have to put ourselves in situations that test us, that really, if Ant's on here, he'll enjoy this one, but that really stretch us in different situations. Sometimes we may need to stretch from a physical standpoint with our health. Sometimes we may need to stretch ourselves and say, hey, I need to spend a little bit more money on these particular areas. May need to up this marketing on this particular product, whatever it is. You're stretching yourself thin, but what it does is it puts you in a position to learn a lot about yourself and to overcome certain challenges and obstacles that are going to come with putting ourselves in challenging situations. No different than when you up the competition in sports. You may get away with certain things when you're playing peewee, but then when you up it to varsity, you get to see exactly the areas that you need to improve on to be successful on this new level. So put ourselves in challenging situations. Do not be weary of it. Don't be scared of it. Understand that we are built for it. We are built for it. And if we're not built for it, what is the thing that's going to get us built for it? Overcoming challenges, putting ourselves through the fire, constantly testing ourselves, constantly pushing ourselves to think outside the box, to have to solve problems, maybe with limited resources, whatever that may be. That's what's going to put us in the best position to gain confidence, tools, and skills needed to be successful in life across the board. So y'all got y'all got the Sunday word on a Friday. Let's put ourselves in challenging situations. All right. If you did not already like the show, please make sure that you do like it. I actually forgot to send it to my friends. Come on now. How'd I forget to send it to my group chat? I'm going to do that right now. If you know anybody that would like to join this conversation, all you have to do is go on the bottom of the screen, click share, copy that link, send it to your group chat, and tell them this is what I literally just sent. Grand Rising fellas, and sent the chat. Not that difficult, right? Not that difficult. What did Lana write? Relentless consistency. And we gotta argue in person more. Always on time. We gotta have more conversations in person. I will say that. It's funny that you bring that up because that's something that I've been neglecting. I actually just I had a conversation with a buddy of mine, and oh man, I'm about to. All right, we're going. Can I go on a little story time real quick? No keyboard warriors, facts. And to your point, Urs, when we have to argue more in person, debate used to be a thing that we were more comfortable with, and maybe things were just more respectful at the time. I'm not sure. Hold on. Grab my coffee. Ooh, that's a little sweet. Maybe it's because things were a little bit more respectful at the time. I don't like sweetness. I'm a black guy, coffee, whatever. Maybe because things were more respectful at the time, or maybe just because we were around each other more. We had more. I don't know. When I talked to Urs, what were we talking about the other day with the men's retreats? There's not a lot of spaces where men just get together. A lot of the professional men that I talk to, and I don't even want to say professional. I don't even know what that means. A lot of the working men that I talk to, they complain about the very same things. Complain about the very same things that, hey, man, I'm just feeling, a little down on life. I'm feeling miserable. I want to just, go drink all day, but then I also want to get in shape. I feel like, I'm making good money. I'm making the money that I once dreamed of, but, it still doesn't feel good. I'm still feeling down, still dealing with depression or whatever else it may be, anxiety. Yeah. All of that stuff. And in my opinion, it's because of a lack of purpose, because there's no meaning. If there's no problem that we're looking to solve, what ends up happening? We feel useless. We are just a tool that's in the toolkit, a tool that's in the garage that's not used. We feel literally useless. And in my opinion, specifically when it comes to men, with women as well, but I'm just talking specifically with men, when we are not being used to solve particular problems, we go through this phase of purposelessness to where we feel lost and we constantly feel like we're not fulfilled with life. We're not around each other as much. We don't have that camaraderie. We don't have all these type of things. Urs wrote, debate is just part of properly communicating. I agree. So it's definitely something that we're missing. And I was going to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but I'm actually going to pull back. I already teased it a little bit, but yeah, no keyboard warriors. Let's figure out a way to get together more in person, have these conversations in person, be more comfortable, because we should be having more discussions with each other than the amount of news that we watch. You get what I'm saying? We should be able to talk to family, talk to friends about different things that we're going through. We should come into contact with. Matter of fact, I will go on a tangent. So the thing that I was saying before, when I talked to my buddy yesterday, he had hit me up. We posted some of the OG clothing, and y'all need to get in tune with that. Yo, and shout out to Urs one time, because I don't know if y'all understand how talented this brother is as a videographer, photographer, creator, musician, marketer, across the board. We get to the city. We park our cars at 10 o'clock. We start filming. Do you know that at 1:30, so we filmed, did all a bunch of stuff. All right, boom, got out of there. And got a $65 ticket with the city, man. I need to still pay that. But by 1:30, when I'm sitting home, Urs had already sent me over some dope images and put together a 90-second reel. That's the level of talent. So neither here nor there, but the pictures came out amazing. And my buddy that I was talking to yesterday, he reached out, and there used to be a large group of people that I used to be with, and all of them were very supportive. And I realize now at this later age that I just simply did not know how to lead, as far as how to put people in certain positions to maximize their roles. And if I did, we'd all probably be in a different position than we are right now. My buddy that I was talking to yesterday has an OG tat on his arm. That's how much he believes in the brand. That's how much he lives the brand. He has an OG tat. I don't have an OG tat. He has an OG tat on his arm, and he's had it for a very long time. And it made me realize, like, oh man, like, he was telling me, like, yeah, we got to get together. We need to be around each other. We need to feed off of each other's energy. We really need to be around each other. There's a different level of growth that comes when we just are in the same room. That's the entire mastermind approach, where we have the compounding effect, where it's like, oh, we got a group of good people in the room, amazing things happen. Let me say that again. When we have a group of good people, when we have a group of good people in the room, amazing things happen. That's the compounding effect. So if we get a group of amazing people in the room, then we can change the world. So the goal is for all of us to obviously keep growing, keep elevating, so that we will be the amazing people in the room. All right, so let's move on. Hold on. What did Lana say? He's the best. He is the best. Ers wrote blushing, y'all. Thank you. All right, so let's get into the first topic of today. What do we have? Are we going to start with that? All right, so we'll start with that. 1 second. I thought I had this actually queued up. 1 second. Let me ask you though, Urs, do you think that because of debate, or the lack of debate, I should say, that's the reason why? As I don't know, do you see it as we aren't as knowledgeable? And maybe I should start with this particular area. Let's start with this. I already have the Candace one queued up, but let me go through a list of these questions. And I'll be totally honest. I was talking to somebody yesterday about politics, and I almost made the mistake of just, getting too much into it, because my new approach is that, look, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just here to leave my voice, and hopefully when I have some kids soon, or when I generations to come, or just people who aren't even family, can go back and look at my Bible. This is what I'm writing. When I'm talking to y'all, we're creating our Bible. This is our Bible. This is our story that people are going to look at and say, this is how this person was, this is how they operated. These are the different stories they shared in order to learn these particular lessons. This is what we're doing. We're creating our story, creating our movie, creating our Bible. So when I spoke to them, and they told me that they came from a lunch with somebody that has opposing political views as them. And he told me, he said, yeah, I kind of just realized that, certain people, it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're just not going to change. They will fight you on changing. So I said to that person, I said, well, do you include yourself in that? And he said, yes. And it made me realize that I do not, this battle, if you get too caught up on actually making the change, that's the instant gratification, right? You being able to tell a person, hey, A, B, and C, 1, 2, 3, I know you saw it this way, but it's actually this way. Or actually, you should just take a look into it. Did you ever consider these things? And they actually consider it and maybe change their opinion, or at least are open to it, open to a new perspective, and maybe see things at least a little bit differently. That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And it just is what it is. People want to believe in what they want to believe in. People are going to push what they want to push. People are going to always prioritize information that aligns with how they already think. It just is what it is. And that's what I mean as far as, are we living in the dumbest times ever? The weakest times ever? Let me not say dumb. Are we living in the weakest times ever? Mentally, physically, spiritually. I think spiritually, it goes without saying. When we're living in a world of chaos, where everybody's hating each other, where there's all this fear, clearly we're not living in an advanced place spiritually. We're not where we need to be. We are below standard. Mentally, when you can have information presented to you, like, how do we judge whether we're elevated mentally? Do we judge it by who knows the most information? Do we judge it by who can process information as quickly? And maybe this is why if you're looking to change people's minds, go talk to kids. Go talk to kids. If you're looking to say certain things to where you can change how somebody thinks, go talk to kids. You're not going to have any luck talking to adults. They've already are set in how they think. It is what it is. You can present something different to them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So if you look at it in this regard, with as far as the ability for people to process information and to take that new information and to come away with new feedback, a new outlook on it, that's how I would judge our mental capabilities. When we just are living in a world where it does not matter what someone says, it does not matter what new information we get, it does not matter whether somebody presents something that directly disputes it, it doesn't matter. What it ultimately comes down to, I don't like that guy, or I love that guy, or I don't like that girl, or I love that girl. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter. We saw it in Kendrick versus Drake. We see it in Trump versus Biden, Trump versus Kamala. It doesn't matter. So I asked these questions. And these are some of the areas that I was saying, like, hey, are we at our low when it just comes to humanity? I said, how voluntary unhealthy we are. We literally know that we are being poisoned by our Food and Drug Administration just so they can profit. Nobody cares. We'll continue to eat the same food. Matter of fact, not only will we continue to eat the very same processed foods, but we'll continue to eat the food that we know is terrible for us. The Chick-fil-A line will always be long, while the Kava line, well, Kava actually is long too. So maybe that's a bad example. We will continue. Chick-fil-A will always, and Popeyes will always have a long line. It just is what it is. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the fruits. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the vegetables. Not a lot of people are going to be eating the non-processed foods that may not taste, as good because we've been so addicted to sugar and salt our entire lives. It just is what it is. How we trust and rely on our leaders for change. That's the second area that I wrote down. How we trust and rely on our leaders for change. The next one is, and hold on, let me make sure I'm keeping up with the chat. Before I read the next one, I'll make sure I keep up with the chat. Hold on, where am I? Urs wrote, debating in person has a whole different dynamic, like text versus the call. You can't hide in person, so you must choose your words wisely. I think because we hide behind our screens, we become cowards. It's very interesting that you say that, Urs, because one of the things on this list is the fact that because there's not a need out of survival to be strong physically, strong mentally, where in different periods, previous periods in which we lived, you had to be strong, or else somebody comes in and robs you and rapes your wife and takes and does whatever with your kid. Like, you had to be strong. When we look back at the Wild Wild West, or just other ancient civilizations, or maybe not even as far back as that to call it ancient, but you had to have a certain level of physical prowess, I guess would be the word, physical capability to first and foremost deter somebody from even trying you, and second off, to engage if you are presented with this situation. We don't live in that time period anymore. We don't even live in a time period where we have to mentally compute things. It's like, I remember teachers saying that, hey, don't rely on calculators. Why? Because it's going to make you stupid, because you're relying on something else in order to compute things that you traditionally had to compute in your mind. Well, this is the same thing with the internet. This is the same thing with Google. This is the same thing with ChatGPT. We don't have to look up things. We don't have to go to the library. We don't have to read books. We don't have to look into an encyclopedia. Everything just happens so quick. We don't have to read a newspaper article that traditionally was more objective, that had to force us to think in order to make our own opinion, rather than just telling us exactly how we should think. We just look at the news all day. We'll just go on YouTube. We don't have any of these things. We're not forced we're not forced by just the rules of nature to stay in shape. It's like almost, do you see out of shape cheetahs? No, you don't see out of shape cheetahs, because an out of shape cheetah is a dead cheetah. You can't be out of shape. You can't be injured. You can't be weak. You can't be tired. All these different things. But we're living in now of a time of such privilege to where we have the privilege to be dumb. Our kids can't read. Literally, we are living in a world where our kids can't read. And the very people whose kids can't read the most, those are the people that defend the education system the most. It's insane, the world that we're living in when you really look at it. The very people who suffer the most from the education system on a continuous basis are the ones that defend it the most. Hold on, let me keep going with the chat. Urs wrote, even just having a discussion. Yeah, just a discussion. A discussion turns into a debate when people aren't used to having discussions in person. When everything that you say you feel has to be challenged, like all of these things, and challenged in a way to where it's going to affect your pride. Like we feel as if like we are such fanatics with certain things. Bro, Trump doesn't know you. Kamala doesn't know you. So why is you passionately defending them? Like, why is that prioritized over listening to your family and friends? It's like, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Urs wrote, back in the day, we were more calculated. We didn't just speak what was on our mind. We had to mind our tongue. Crazy thoughts didn't have space in a normal world. We used to live in a world where I just saw an article actually, or a video where somebody got caught lying on Trump. And they pretty much said that Trump told Netanyahu, they reported that Trump told Netanyahu to not do a ceasefire because it's going to make Kamala look good while she's still in office. And this lady said she got it from a particular report. And then people looked into the report. It wasn't there. And then she came out and apologized. I'm watching this Wyatt Earp documentary on Netflix. And there's a line where he sits there and he says, "Are you calling me a liar?" And you can tell based on how this person answers that question, it was like how we look at, like as a little kid in school, like, yo, you said something about my mother? Where you're ready to crash out, risk it all. Just based on his word, this man's Wyatt Earp's word was so important to him that he was ready to either kill or be killed just on defending the honor and integrity of his word. We don't have that right now. You could say anything about people. You can do anything. That's what Ursi's talking about. It's just a different time period that we're living in. All right, so what did I write? Even when you look at education, how people are still paying $30, $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 a year for a college education, in which when you look at the numbers of college educated kids, a college degree is almost becoming useless. Maybe that's what colleges are doing on purpose, because now they can say, oh, well, you have to get an advanced degree. You got all these college kids, and then they're becoming baristas. Not to say that there's anything wrong with baristas, but I don't think you need to go to college to become a barista. And then when you go to college and you take out these absurd loans, where's the return on your investment? But what do we just keep doing? We just keep sending the kids to college, keep putting them into a whole bunch of debt. It makes zero sense, but we continue to do it. I was reading an article or came across something the other day where they were talking about how there weren't any law schools before. And I think this was the case with medical schools as well, where there wasn't law school. You didn't go to law school. You actually just did an apprenticeship with a lawyer. You did an apprenticeship with a doctor. But what did they realize? Hey, we can make some money off of this. We get it. We're getting caught up in the system. I would never, like, I just couldn't imagine having my kids take out loans to where they graduate at 22 years old and they got $100,000 or $200,000 worth of loans. And then I couldn't imagine paying for it. Like, I would literally rather give them, like, teach them what I'm doing. And there's a good video on what Ant actually sent a good video over on some of the things and how we can teach our kids with certain things and better equip them to be successful just on our own. So that's, what did I have? What other things did I have? Let me give you an example, actually. Let me give you an example. And we're gonna pick on one of y'all favorite candidates real quick. Is it on here? Hold on. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I think it's on Instagram. All right, right here. So I even think from a political standpoint, like from a leadership standpoint, the leadership is suffering as well. So it's not like I'm saying it's just the common folk, Gen Public, you know, I'm not Gen Pop. I'm not saying that. I'm saying across the board. Listen to this, and I'm gonna pick on Kamala Harris a little bit. It is what it is. She could take it. She's an AKA. She's built for it, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's take a look at this video. This is somebody who's running for president, who gets asked a simple question on how to fix the inflation problem. And I want you to pay attention to her answer. I want you to pay attention to if she answers, or if this is just another example of us being able to use just a whole bunch of word salad and just be able to try to finesse a situation rather than actually understanding and looking to address the problem. Take a look at this. Screen shared. All right, good.
Are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
And I want to make sure, hold on, I want to back out because I want to make sure you hear the question. What are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
What else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. So it's a big issue, and we take it seriously. And it is a priority, therefore.
What else?
She has no idea what she's talking about. Like, in a literal way, like I think she's speaking and listening to herself as she's speaking. Like, how does this sound? Like, is this what I'm supposed to say? These are the time periods that we're living in, where you can run for president and have no grasp on what the issues are, no understanding of actual economics, no understanding of solving any particular issues. Everything is based on identity politics. Well, what's the symbolism behind it? Well, what group does she belong to? What group does he belong to? What group does they belong to? That's the world that we're living in. It's a, I don't know. I don't know. And I hate to say it. Well, this is just another example. This is why, and I'm not bashing in this particular situation DEI. Y'all know how I feel about DEI. But in this particular, I'm not bashing DEI. I'm bashing what DEI causes. I'm bashing the basis of DEI. I had a conversation the other day with somebody where we were talking about Bronny, we were talking about Braun, we were talking about DEI. They're in human resources. And I said, hey, how do you feel about DEI? They said, I like it. Is it? What I'm bashing is the fact that when people get put in positions for any other reason outside of merit, when people get, sorry, hello? Sorry, the mic's going there. Sorry, my headphones were messing up. When people get in positions for any other reason outside of merit, This is what we have. This is what happens. We get unqualified positions, unqualified people who are put in positions because of things outside of their merits, outside of their intellect, but simply because of how the group that they identify with, how we can leverage that in order to get support from a particular group or not. Urs wrote, hold on. Urs wrote, I lost 8 IQ points watching this. Shy in the building. What's good, Shy? 11 hundo. Y'all know what it is. 11K, my fault. Not 1100. She looked like she just flew in on a Spirit red eye. Chill. I was supposed to take a Spirit flight the other day. I switched it. But yeah, it's just identity politics. Matter of fact, let's take a pivot. I actually was going to go directly to the Candace Owens, Andrew Tate, but hold on. I want y'all to check this out with our man Spike Lee real quick. I think this video is on YouTube. Hold on. Let me go. I wasn't going to play this video. I'll come back to this Candace video, but hold on. I want y'all to play this. I want y'all to hear this with Spike Lee. I want y'all to hear this. Hold on. Let me make sure it's shared. Let's take a look at this.
What does it mean for you to be here to see Vice President Harris as the Democrat? You're here at the Democratic convention. What does it mean for you to be here to see Vice President Harris as the Democratic nominee?
I wanted to be here. This is not history. This is her story. She's going to be the first woman.
Bro, this is not history. This is her story. Why is everything about the symbolic, the symbolism in every situation? I'm just wondering why. Why is it? Have you ever heard anybody, all these people, and trust me, there's a lot in my life, that are just voting for Kamala, that have just decided to just vote for Kamala, in my opinion, for no other reason than she's black. For no other reason. These people have just made the decision that I'm voting for her. She's black. It is what it is. That's what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's actually qualified. Have you ever heard anybody that likes Kamala talk about how intelligent she is, talk about how she handled this particular situation, talk about how she solved this crisis? Right? She's in charge at the border, right? Talk about the things that she did to eliminate certain harmful things happening at the border. Like, dude, I just don't get it. And for a guy like Spike Lee, let's think about it. Spike Lee, extremely successful, right? Box office movies, very successful. But what has he impacted? What exactly has he impacted? What is the impact that a Spike Lee has made? I love Malcolm X is one of my favorite movies. Y'all know that's my guy. But what is the impact? All the Do the Right Thing. Everything that he's participated in, what is the impact? If we are still at the bottom, like what was it to show us that racism exists? I'm pretty sure that anybody who lived in America or maybe looked at America understood that this country, America as it was formed on some pretty racist values. So when a guy like Spike Lee, these older activists, when they look back, they have to feel that their career meant something. They have to feel that their art meant something. They have to feel that they made an impact and that they made a change. When you look at a guy like Spike Lee, who's been very successful selling movies, what has the impact been? Because there's no impact, this is why the only thing that you hear about when people talk about Kamala, just like when people talked about Barack, that was more so because I think people just weren't into politics. I think Barack was very intelligent. But when it comes to Kamala in particular, everything is about she's going to be the first this, the first that. She's an AKA. She's this. Is she going to help the economy? Is she going to help inflation? Is she going to help the migrant crisis? Is she going to stop putting tampons in boys' bathrooms? Is she going to stop drag queens from reading books to kids? Is she going to stop men from being able to participate in sports against women? Is she going to stop this disease epidemic? Is she going to make the world, is she going to make our country healthier? Is she going to address the Food and Drug Administration? What exactly are these politicians being held accountable to do? Everything is just symbolic. Everything just becomes symbolic. And to be totally honest, it's on both sides. It's on both sides. I'm sure that there's a large population of those MAGA folk or whoever, the MAGA folk. And they just rocking with Trump. Let's just be real. Trump's entire presidency. He came after Barack Obama. Oh, we got this black dude in office. Okay. Let's see the response to it. Oh, we get a Trump. Makes sense. You went from Barack. People may be pissed off. Y'all voted for him. Y'all talking all this black stuff. I'm just voting for him because he's black. This is the response. I'm actually interested to see if Kamala does win, what will be the next response. But let's keep going with this video. And I'll hear what the rest of what Spike had to say.
To be president of this United States of America, blended family, the whole Howard University, HU, so this is a amazing moment in the history of these United States of America. And we got to go forward, not backwards. We got to go forward. We got to advance. To bring equity around this nation where we will lead the world. So, I travel a lot of times outside the United States, and when this guy was president, people, total strangers, will pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try.
Yo, can I? My apologies. You want to know why? Because I didn't put at the bottom of the screen the name of the show. Literally on the last show, after yesterday, when we were talking about 12 out of the last 16 years we've had a Democratic president. Democrats act as if that didn't happen. They act as if Kamala acts as if she's not in office right now, like she's not in the White House. She's speaking on, well, if I get in office, you're in office. Joe Biden is clearly cognitively not there. So is it right for us to assume that she's running things? Like, isn't that what happens when the president is no longer capable of being the president, leading, thinking? Not healthy enough? So I just don't understand it. And when I look at, I said something to somebody, the conversation I was having yesterday, I said this, I said, 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democratic presidents. So if our country's in a bad place, isn't that a bad reflection on the Democrats? Because 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democratic leadership, and we are currently in Democratic leadership. And his response was, well, when Barack was in office, or when the Democrats are in office, the Republicans, they wouldn't allow him to pass anything. And I'm like, listen to the excuse that we give. That's the job of the president, the job of the leader. If the other side is not willing to work with you, then perhaps you shouldn't be president. If you're not able to sell, right? We're salespeople, the ability to influence. If we are not able to sell people on things and to influence people who may not be on our team, but they impact our country, they impact the overall team, right? But they're not necessarily in our party, I should say. Then perhaps you shouldn't be the leader. Isn't that the exact reason why I said that I would not be able to vote for Trump? Because he's too divisive? So if I'm sitting here saying that, I'm being honest, I can't vote for Trump. He's just too divisive, even though I like a lot of his policies. I look back and I like where, what specifically he did for certain groups. I like that he, instead of just talking to certain people, he actually did certain things, especially when it comes to the black community. Just my opinion. I like what he did with HBCUs, put them on a long-term plan. Barack didn't do that. I like that he put together that council that was to explore and brought on different people, even had Al Sharpton. You got Donald Trump, Republican, bringing on Al Sharpton, super liberal, onto this council to figure out a way how to combat this issue of black people not necessarily being able to benefit from the American experience as much as our other counterparts. I like that he put that together. I like that black home ownership was up and unemployment was down. I like all of these things. However, because he's too divisive, because he's going to cause the country to maybe be more in this hatred state that we've been in, I decided I couldn't vote for him. So going back to the initial point, how come we give Barack the excuse or give Joe Biden the excuse of, oh, well, the Republicans didn't allow him to pass anything? Could you imagine Donald Trump going up there and saying, well, I tried to get this done, but, the Democrats just wouldn't allow me? Can you imagine what the other side would say? It's on you to figure it out. But when it's somebody that you like, what do? We make excuses for them. We validate their behavior. Bro, if you're not the type of leader, I'll give you another example that people may not be looking into. Our army. In a lot of ways, our military is a reflection of the level of pride that we have in our country, right? Do we need to look at the numbers? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Hold on, let me grab my phone. Hold on. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. I looked this up earlier. Listen to these numbers when it comes to our military. Our military right now, active duty, 450,000 soldiers. 450,000 soldiers. China, one of the largest armies in the world. The PLA army has over 1 million active duty personnel. And let me go back to these numbers. Hold on. Active duty. And then the total number for the United States so 450,000 active duty. And then it says the total number can exceed 1 million personnel. But active duty is 450,000. China's active duty is over 1 million. And their total of personnel is 2 million. So they are over double our size in both. India, 1.2 million active duty soldiers. And their number overall is 2.1 million. They're over double. Russia, 280 active personnel. So they're less than us, but their personnel is around 1 million. So the same as us. North Korea, 1.2 million active duty personnel. They don't have the other numbers. Oh, wait, hold on. This does not include reserves and paramilitary forces, which would add several million more. Pakistan's army has 640,000 active duty personnel. Total forces, 1 million. The Pakistan army is bigger than ours. Is this not a concern? Is this not a concern? Is this not something that we're thinking about when we elect a leader? Maybe we should ask some military people or ask some people that are considering the military who they would prefer in office. We like all these movies like Gladiator and Troy, right? We like the opening scene in Gladiator, right? When Russell Crowe is getting his army ready. Talking about, pretty much, if y'all haven't heard the speech, you should go look at it. Using charisma, rallying up the spirits of his army. It makes a difference. We look at pep talks before sports games. We look at them as if they're significant. Halftime, this guy gave a halftime speech that was, y'all like, imagine when it's actually life or death. Just how much it matters, the mindset of you going into this particular fight where you're risking your life. Imagine how much the leadership and you trusting and believing in the leadership of your particular country matters when it comes to fighting for our country. When it comes to raising a big enough army, there's no excuse for our army to be that. Why? Probably because there's so much hatred in the country. Probably because there's so much privilege in the country. Most of us grew up without even going to war, having these type of issues, even thinking about it. There's been no drafts for us. But is that something that we take into consideration? I don't know. I don't know, but I would think that it's something that's pretty important, but we just don't hear people talking about it. All right, so let's go to this Andrew. Wait, I'm sorry. Dang, we got to finish. Let's finish Spike real quick.
Try not to say his name, but people we lead the world. So, you know, I travel a lot of times and outside the United States, and when this guy was president, people, total strangers, pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try not to.
Did you hear what he
when
just
this
said?
guy was president, people, total strangers, pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try not to say his name, but people, total strangers on planes, just walking around all over the world saying, "What is wrong with America? How did that guy get elected?"
Who is Spike Lee? Who is Spike Lee? He's playing the very same role that we know him for, a super fan. We know him as a super fan with the Knicks, and now he's a super fan with the Democratic Party. Spike Lee will tell you that the Knicks are the best team, even though they can have 10 losing seasons in a row. But he's still telling us the Knicks are. This is no different. Like when I asked y'all that, really, who is Spike? What has Spike Lee contributed to the growth of this country? I'm really just asking. What has Spike Lee contributed to having us thinking outside the box, of figuring out solutions to problems rather than just identifying the problem? Hey, this white guy's racist to this black guy, and this is how this racism can. This is why a lot of these older folk hang on to all this symbolism, because they want to rationalize their entire existence or give credibility to their existence, and and as if they made a larger impact than they actually did. Because if they don't, if a Spike Lee does not embrace the Democrats, if he does not just embrace symbolism, well, we had a black president, male president, now we're having a black female president. If he does not embrace that, what does he hang his hat on? When he looks at his purpose, my purpose was to put out videos to let people know America's race. I don't think that was actually his purpose. I think that he wanted to actually bring change to this country. But if all of these activists that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, if all of these activists who were doing all this work in maybe their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and now they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, are looking at America and looking at black people in particular, because that's what most of his work was targeting, and you see black people are at the bottom, doing worse off now than ever, what did you actually accomplish? What did your generations accomplish? We are at the bottom. Not to say that you didn't try. Malcolm X, like I always tell y'all, he's one of my favorite people. But Malcolm failed. And I think Malcolm would acknowledge that he failed. He tied his entire existence to the Nation of Islam. He couldn't even put a roof over his family's head. He made certain decisions. He tried his best, and I appreciate him for that. And I think he's one of the greatest and most disciplined men ever. I really do. But if I get cut from the team, I failed. It's not to say that, oh, Dak's a bad person. Or I don't want to say that Dak failed his football dreams because, I like him as a person. No, bruh, I failed. I got cut. I didn't perform well enough. I'm not finna sit around here and make excuses. Oh, well, this happened, and then my coach was angry at me for this. No, you will never hear me say anything like that. I failed. Matter of fact, what you'll hear from me is that I let up. Once I made the team, I didn't keep the same consistent energy that I had when it was preseason in order to make the team. I relaxed a little bit. It showed in the results. It is what it is. I wasn't as hungry. It is what it is. Cool. Figure something else out. Try again. Keep going. We're just not real with ourselves.
So those 4 years where the world was looking at us like with the side eye, like WTF.
The world's looking at us with a side eye with Donald Trump as president. We had no wars. Our economy was booming. If it wasn't for COVID, right? It's funny, but we can't give an excuse for COVID. We can give an excuse like the conversation I was having yesterday. We could say, oh, well, Barack couldn't get certain policies passed because the Republicans wouldn't allow it. We can give that excuse, but we can't at all bring up the fact that Donald Trump's presidency was impacted by a worldwide pandemic. One that he actually was criticized for calling out where it came from, when he kept saying China, China. But based on all the information that we see, where did it actually come from? All right, let's move on. Let me catch up with these chats real quick. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Ursi wrote, does anyone have a list of all the things Kamala did as VP? ChatGPT says, Joe Biden was the most impactful vice president in the last 20 years, immediately followed by Mike Pence. Citing the handling of COVID and the housing crisis in 2008. Kamala Harris's most symbolic moment was as first African-American, Indian-American VP, her fight for voting reform was a total flop, according to ChatGPT. Well, if ChatGPT said it, it must be true. Shoot. Let's move on. All right, so I wanted to show this a little bit of this Andrew Tate interview. Is this the one? Hold on. No, this isn't the one. Hold on. I just realized. Hold on. I just realized it's the wrong. Hold on. I'm actually excited because if I would have played that, it would have been a little confusing. All right, so now I'm on the right one. I got to show y'all this. So this is something that we've talked about before as far as like high school and why it's important to understand people's high school experiences. I believe this is the right one. Let's go for it. Hold on. Let me share the screen real quick. All right, let's take a look at this.
A flawed person. And I think the reason I'm seen as a hero and the reason I have the fan base I have is because to a degree I've always been a flawed person and I'm not a perfect human and I don't want to be. And I think that actually adds a lot of credibility to my character as a whole, that I've become the kind of person who believes he can add value to the world. And just like you said with Jay-Z, he changed. And the biggest thing for me personally, though, truthfully, and I want the whole world to understand this, I've been forensically analyzed by multiple different federal agencies from different countries for the last 17 months, analyzing every aspect of my entire life across the last 10 to 15 years. And what did they find? An old YouTube clip? That's the worst they could find. No sexual perversion, no drugs, no genuine criminal acts. They found something semi-immoral in a YouTube clip. And I would actually challenge anybody who wants to throw stones at me to go through the same level of scrutiny I have been under and let's see what they find in your life. Because I guarantee anyone who's watching this right now, you sit there, you have a secret in your.
Yeah, y'all are gonna be mad at me. Y'all are gonna be mad at me. Hold on, 1 second. Hold on. I gotta make this change real quick. Hold on 1 second. You'll laugh when hold on. That's actually the wrong one. Hold on. This is what happens sometimes when you play something you wasn't intending to play. Hold on. I gotta show y'all this. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. I'm going to find it. All right, boom, 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 boom. Is this the one? Hold on. Episode 46. Got it. And it's already queued up. See? Come on, man. I had it queued up. All right, listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this. My bad. Relax. Y'all be all right.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah, it's very scary. And that's why I go back to this like peer pressure thing. I basically now, when I meet people, I want to know who they were in high school. I think
Y'all see why I wanted to play it? Understanding, we've talked a lot about this on this show. Understanding who people were in high school, in my opinion, is so significant. It's so significant. Understanding who people were in high school. Listen to this conversation that they're gonna have. I'll let them take it.
it's the most significant time in your life. I want to know who you were in high school because it's somehow you see that their characteristics, they just reemerge later on in life. And right now what we're fighting is a system of losers, right? Who are writing their articles feverishly. They hate people that have confidence. They hate people that are self-confident and are not going to, oh, I said that the data says this and I'm smart and I went to Columbia. I don't care if you went to, I literally don't care. You are the dumbest person. I would never follow you, right? You couldn't lead a marching band, right? And somehow you think that writing articles in the Daily Mail, calling me names, case in point, New York Times former writer Barry Weiss. Candace, it's that insane. You are you're like a weird loser, lesbian, can crawl in a hole, literally Barry Weiss would crawl in a hole and die. I could care less. And I say that.
Couldn't care less, but it's all good, Candace. Who you are in high school says a lot. Do you think that Candace is right? Let me ask you guys this. Do you think that Candace is right when she says that the world is run by losers? I'm being honest. The world seems to be ran by, think about who wants to become a politician. People that just seek this absurd amount of power, right? They convince themselves that they want to be doing good for, the community. They're searching for power. They're searching for power and or money, but definitely power. When you were cool in high school, you have an entirely different outlook on as far as power, as far as the need for power, and the things that you're willing to do in order to look cool and or have power. That's just my opinion. That's how I look at it. Depending on who you were in high school says a lot. And these people that seem to be running this country seem to have significant levels of resentment. It's you ever seen like a child who was, or a kid that was like not cool in high school and middle school and felt that like people should have liked them more, felt like they should have got more girls. And the only thing that they're driven by now is like, I'm going to become the most successful person in the world and just get the most amount of girls. And it's like, bro, you're missing it. Like, you're just not cool. And when I say cool, I mean, now you're intentionally just seeking power in order to just get girls. Like, that's not what's going to, that's the world that we live in my opinion. A world that is ran on people who have significant resentment and are obsessed with power because growing up, they never had any. Because growing up, they feel that the world should have treated them better. They feel like they should have gotten more girls, that they should have been more liked, that they should have been the cool person in school. Meanwhile, other people are not obsessed with these type of things. But this is the world that we're growing up in.
Knowing that there's going to be, how could you say, literally, she could crawl in a hole and die. You think you have the authority, right, to tell people that I'm bat insane because I won't get in the line in the same way that you've gotten in line with the system your entire life?
Yep.
Like, you're a Zionist.
And this is what happens with people. When people are obsessed with getting power, they will do anything, align with any group, compromise their integrity, compromise their morals, compromise their values, do whatever is necessary in order to get in power. That's what happens.
Not in paid for Zionist, and
Yeah.
your job is to
Who do you think is more likely to just stand on something just because it's the right thing? What did we talk about on the last show? Principles or profits? Principles or profit? Everybody, all of these people that are running things, they constantly choose profit and power. That's what it should have been, profit and or power. This is what they choose because they feel that they lacked it growing up. So therefore, they're just obsessed. So therefore, there's no principles that these people are really standing on. When you hear about, when I read yesterday, the things that RFK wants to address, the disease epidemic, going to war, using figuring out a way to stop using these agencies, the politicization of the agencies. It was a list of about 5 things that he wanted to address, principled things. What are the issues what are the principled things that we've heard the other candidates say? What have we heard Kamala? What are the principled things that she wants to address? What are the principled things that Trump wants to address? We don't know. We talked about this before because they have no plan, right? The plan, you know, I really think that initially Trump had, like we talk about it all the time, he had these ideas of being anti-establishment. He ran on it. But then once he got in office, it was, you know, hey, now I'm going to be establishment. Maybe now I'm not going to drain as much as the swamp. Same thing with a Kamala. Well, not the same thing with Kamala. I never thought Kamala was anti-establishment. But yeah. We're going to move on. I just wanted to share that with you. I thought that was interesting. I want us to look at a little bit of this are we going to go to the Russell Crowe conversation? No. Let's actually jump to the RFK interview that he did with Andrew Tate. The RFK interview that he did with 19 Keys. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Because I thought that was an interesting conversation. And to me, it highlights why I'm disappointed that RFK Jr. is no longer running. So let's take a look at this, go through this. And first, I see a couple comments, so I'll address those first and then move on here. Okay, so Shah just laughing. Queez wrote, I don't know. Queez said, did it go out? We good? I think we're good. If I am skipping a little bit today, it's because I don't think that I have the LAN connected through USB, but it is what it is. All right, so it seems like we're all good. Queez wrote, I don't know, Candace, how were you in high school? But I get your point. It's funny that you say that, Queez. I actually was thinking that too. When I did read it. I can't even front. I was thinking the same thing. Candace, I'm like, I don't know, Candace, you were probably a little square too. But yeah, shoot, let's take a deep look into it. You know what I'm saying? I just think that it makes an impact. I think that the high school experience is so significant that it sets our perspective on how we see the world in our most developmental stage, possibly, or maybe that biggest jump where we're going from 16, 17 in high school, 18, turning 18, to now we're either in college or we're working in the real world. You know what I mean? Like, that's a significant jump. And now we're actually starting to experience the world. So high school is our last experience before we actually venture out of the community that most of us grew up in and actually explore the world. I think it just says a lot. It's a telltale sign in a lot of ways. But let's take a look at this RFK Jr. I'm still, I don't know. For all y'all RFKers, man, y'all tell me, like, what are we doing? What are we doing if he does drop out? Maybe that's just something to consider. I'm hoping that he's not. I'm hoping that it's just maybe a play in it, or I'm hoping that he just decides not to and just to stay on mission. You know, his vice presidential candidate, she did say that there's two options that it seems like right now. One would be to drop out and follow Trump, or the other would be to just keep going and continue to build this independent party. That's what I'm voting for. That's what I'm rooting for. All right, so let's take a look at this. Is it shared? We are good.
I'm sure you will know the source of this. The very word.
And just to give you guys a heads up, this interview was about 3 weeks ago. So just to give you a time frame.
Secrecy is repugnant in a free
and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
This particular speech is very prophetic. I want to ask you about
hearing what JFK, so that's President Kennedy, that's RFK Jr.'s uncle. Hearing John F. Kennedy talk, when he talks about we got to get rid of these secret societies, people lying, people giving misinformation, at least that's how I receive it. Is it a wonder why he was killed? Did you hear what he said? I want us to go back and listen to what he said. Is there any, it's not surprising that he was killed. And what I want people to understand is a lot of people, especially when it comes to RFK Jr., they say, hey, your uncle, your dad, your family is Democratic royalty. Democratic royalty. And this is the problem when we just identify people with parties without actually looking at their policies, without actually looking at the things that they were discussing and pushing and looking to make happen. This is not about Democrat versus Republican. JFK, in my opinion, was not killed because he was a Democrat. He was killed because of the things that he was pushing. The Democratic Party is just the umbrella that he was in. He was anti-establishment. He was anti-power. When you hear people talking about, hey, I don't think that we should have these secret societies, who do we think that these secret societies are? These secret societies are the wealthy, the powerful, the people that pull the strings, the puppet masters. The people that we now look at as big pharma or big corporation, you know, the corporations, the people that put together these super PACs where you wonder like, yo, where did this super PAC of 50 million just come from? These are the secret societies, the people that have their organizations. We look at it as a mythical thing, the Illuminati. Yo, it's just a secret group of people that's very wealthy that gets together and figures out, okay, instead of us just competing against each other, how can we make sure that we stay in this elite status, this elite powerful status, and that everybody else just bickers on the ground level, so therefore they never even make it up to this floor? He is directly criticizing and calling them out. What happens when you criticize and call people out that are very powerful, have a lot of money, and can be potentially dangerous? What do we think would happen? Let's go back and listen to the beginning of his that little snippet again. And even more so when you hear it, it's like, yo, this was anti-establishment, anti-power. This is exactly what RFK Jr. is doing right now and what he represents right now. He's saying, yo, let's go against Big Pharma. He's saying, let's address the FDA for putting out these BS foods that are causing diseases. So therefore, the drug aspect of the administration, aka Big Pharma, can benefit from giving us a whole bunch of pills to treat the very diseases that their food that they gave us caused. He's saying, let's figure out a way to address not politicizing these agencies. What you're going to get ready to hear him say, well, let's just let him say it. But listen to this JFK snippet again, and you tell me if you're surprised that he was killed.
Inherently and historically.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a
a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
This particular speech is very prophetic. I want to ask you about secrecy and secret societies in the sense of, you know, during the times of 1963 to 68, there was 4 assassinations, 2 whom were family members of yours, and the other 2 who were family members of mine.
Malcolm and Martin.
Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Now, as we talk about, you know, the forces that your uncle laid out, who do you think that he was speaking to? Because during the 60s, right, was one of the most powerful and pivotal times as far as leaders working to influence the future of America, right? And it seemed to be, you know, these forces behind the scenes that some people call shadow government, some people call managerial class, right? There's all of these different names for it. But people think about who has the most power. Often people think
perhaps this is more appropriate now than ever. What 19 Keys is talking about with the managerial classes, the shadow government. Who is running the country right now? Like, think about that. Who is actually running the country right now? I think that even the super Democrats, the super Joe Biden fans are even now to the point where they can acknowledge that Joe Biden is clearly not running this country. Joe Biden is clearly not capable from a mental standpoint and maybe even a physical standpoint of running this country. So who is running the country? Clearly, by the way that it sounds from when Kamala talks, she's not running the country. She's talking about, oh, if you elect me, if I get in office. But if the president's not capable of running the country, next in line would be the VP. So based on what she's saying, she's not running the country. So who is running the country? I know we like to say, oh, that's just conspiracy theory. You know, what do you mean who's running the country? That's all just a conspiracy theory. Is it? Is it? When you have JFK talking about these secret societies, who is he alluding to? When you hear 19 Keys talking about the shadow government, the managerial class, why do we think, it's like, why do we give so much credit to these people, the government, just wealthy people, powerful people? Why do we give so much credit? If you made, let's say if we all struck gold or literally struck silver. I was just watching something with the like Wide Earp with the Wild West. That was how a lot of people made a lot of their money, silver, oil, whatever, or just, you know, had a business that took off. Does that make us any like does that increase our level of integrity? Does that increase our standards for our principles, our moral compass? Does it increase it? Or I would say more ways it probably decreases it. So when we look at these people that are in the country, that are actually the ones that are telling the politicians what to do, directly and indirectly, why do we, I just don't understand why we can't see through these type of things. Why don't we ask these type of questions? Yo, who's running the country? Kamala, are you the sitting president right now? Joe Biden, what's your health? We're on the brink of a potential World War III, and we don't even know who's running the country. We're on the brink of all I hear, just based on what MSNBC and what Fox is telling me, we're on the brink of a civil war. And we don't know who's running the country. Is that not something that we should be concerned with? Let's keep going.
That it is the president of the United States. So why would he have such a veiled speech in a manner, right, about secrecy and secret orders and secret oaths and secret proceedings, right? What was he alluding to?
Just so that people know, that speech was my uncle, John F. Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, and, you know, I think he was warning us against the world that we now live in, which is one of his primary interests was keeping the country out of war. And he discovered very quickly into his administration that he was surrounded by an intelligence apparatus, military brass, who considered war with the Soviet Union not only to be inevitable, but also to be desirable and as quickly as possible, because at that point we had a larger arsenal than the Soviet Union. He refused to go to Cuba in 1961, and then again.
So he was anti-war. Pay attention to what RFK Jr. just said. That war was not only inevitable, but what is the word that he used?
Possible, because at that point we had not all this apparatus, military brass, and he discovered very quickly into his administration that he was surrounded by an intelligence apparatus, military brass, who considered war with the Soviet Union not only to be inevitable, but also to be desirable.
Not only to be inevitable, but also to be desirable. Why do we think it was desirable? Because war makes certain people, the elite, more powerful, and there's a lot of money to be exchanged in war. I don't know whether it's money laundering. I don't know whether it's deals that are made, backhanded deals, alley deals, whatever it is. I don't know. But a lot of politicians have said, a lot of people that study this have said that war brings about a lot of money. We see what war does with the economy. It increases camaraderie. So war does have certain benefits. The problem is people die. So no matter what those benefits are they worth it? And when you have somebody who's speaking out against war, even though it makes the people at the top, the powerful people, the wealthy, the elite, even though it makes them perhaps more money, even though it makes the politicians more money, and you're speaking out against, I shouldn't say even though, when it makes those people more money, and you're speaking out against it, they're not worried. They're not the ones that are going to be frontline in the war. They're not going to be the ones whose families are going to be fighting in the war. What is the famous thing that they said about Trump, or that they try to make fun of Trump, or he had like flat feet or bunions or something like that, or bone spur? I don't know what it was in his feet. I think there was, I don't know if it's true. I don't know, but apparently that's why, Trump didn't go to war. But these wealthy and elite people, they're not going to be the ones frontline in this war. It's going to be Gen Pop, the people that can't afford to get into VIP. That's who's going to be frontline in the war. So do you think that the wealthy and elite people, if they can benefit from it, care about the people at the bottom dying and suffering? No, they rationalize it. So therefore, when you have somebody like a RFK Jr. speaking out against war, speaking out against the disease epidemic, speaking out against the weaponization and politicization of our agencies, when you have him speaking out against these things, and you have a RFK Jr. who says, I'm going to expose and uncover all of these secret documents about things and reports, and he's saying he's going to be transparent. What? Of course they can't have him in office. Of course they're going to kill a JFK. What do we think's going to happen?
And as quickly as possible, because at that point we
look at it as, because we're not looking at it maybe through the lens of a lot of these politicians and the people in power, bro, they go to war. It's like business deals. A lot of this stuff is just business deals. It's always following the money, right? Just as Quee says.
had a larger arsenal than the Soviet Union. He refused to go to Cuba in 61, and then again in 63 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then he refused in 62 the opportunity to go to war during the Checkpoint Charlie crisis in Germany. He kept us out of Vietnam. He never sent a combat troop to Vietnam. And a month before he died, to the day, he signed National Security Order 263, ordering all the troops home from Vietnam. 30 days later, he was murdered. I think it was, he was referring to a group of people who were really robbing us of democracy. Democracy is about transparency because we own the government. The government has no business lying to us. And now it lies, not only lies, but hides things every day. You see it. I mean, we saw congressional hearings this week in which.
This is a point that I want to touch on, and it came up in a conversation yesterday where as a man, I want to just speak as a man. You tend to want as much control as possible, right, in your life. Right? Is it fair to say that the most manly men, they want as little help as possible, as little involvement as possible? You know, look, I'm good over here. I'm doing my own thing. I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm in control of my success or lack thereof. But then we have another group of people that feel like victims, of people that feel like the world owes me. I grew up in poverty, so therefore the world owes me. I didn't get the jobs that I wanted, the favoritism that I wanted, so the world owes me. Two different mindsets. And the people that think that the world owes them, they like policies and political parties that tell them you were mistreated. The playing field hasn't been leveled for you. We're going to be the ones that level it for you. Meanwhile, the other people are like, bro, we want as least amount of government involved as possible. Y'all do y'all, like, yo, we do not need any involvement. We're doing our thing. Can somebody tell me that the government actually, when they intervene in certain things, that it makes things better? So when I look at like different types of men, I see the victims, the people that play victims, they want help from the government. They want the government involved. They complain about, oh, I can't be successful unless I have some help because things are unfair. And then there's a group of other men who are just like, yo, I don't care if things are unfair. Things are never going to be fair. Things are never going to be even. It is what it is. I got to figure out a way to win. That's what I'm going to put my time, effort, and energy on. Two different types of mindsets. And to me, it plays out in the society that we live in right now. David
Morenz, who was the deputy to Anthony Fauci, had emails in which he was bragging that he had been coached by the Freedom of Information staff, by the chief Freedom of Information officer at NIH, how to hide his emails, how to destroy them in ways in which he couldn't be caught. So that the transparency officer at that agency, the person who's in charge of making sure there's no secrets, was actually coaching high-level staffers how to keep secrets.
Let me ask y'all a question. This is what I mean about like principles. And I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. And this may come across a little bit harsh, but something that I had to really consider was our parents' generation, the generation of people that may be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe even our grandparents, great grandparents, whatever. We were raised on principles. We were taught principles that I do not see our parents' generation of living by. We were raised to be free thinkers. We were raised to stand up for certain things that are not right. We were raised to not just trust people that continue to bamboozle us. We were raised this way. And when I look at especially, well, I'm not going to say especially the men, but I just see men as the leaders. They should be leading our families. They should not allow us to adopt this mindset. So when I look at the very principles that we were raised on, and then I look at how these people are conducting themselves, it's not making sense. It's not consistent. It's a contradiction. How do people, if you're a man, let me ask you this question, because I'll tell you what always comes up in all my conversations when it comes to Social Security, or when it comes to who we're voting for. Oh, I get more Social Security with Kamala as president. Or, oh, Kamala may forgive these student loans. Or whatever else. I don't know. These things tend to come up. Do we care about what the government did? How the vaccine just came into play? Like, I think Biden's first day as president. Do we care what a lot of these liberal stations were doing, calling people anti-vaxxers who were just questioning the vaccine? Do we care that we were bamboozled and lied to? That Big Pharma came in and took over our government? Big Pharma came in and had our government officials lying to us about, hey, this prevents the spread. And then it comes out that it doesn't. Do we care that our government was villainizing the people that just simply said, hey, I just don't know if I want to take this. You're responsible for killing people, your selfishness. We've played all these videos about how these government officials, these news pundits, and people across the board were criticizing certain people that just questioned things in 2020. And then now, 2024, we know we were fooled. We know that they lied to us. And nobody cares. It's just, oh, well, I'm going to make more money with this person. I got to, look out for my Social Security. I got to look out for my student loans. I got to look. Where is the integrity and the principles that I was talking about with Wyatt Earp? Where once somebody lies to you, you question things. How can you trust them? And they're lying to you for a particular reason. I do not understand. These are the things this is why I will be so disappointed if RFK Jr. does not run. Nobody else is calling these things out. I do not care if you do not win, bro. This was not just something that RFK, in my opinion, was starting to have to change the world in 1 year. No, this is going to be something consistent. Getting people back to their principles, getting people back to their values, getting people back to living healthier lives, getting people back to holding our leaders in government more accountable, to represent what we want rather than what the big corporations want. Our thinking has been compromised just based on this victimhood mentality. I don't know what it is. We have prioritized profits over principles. We're going to go with the candidate who puts, I got more Social Security in my pocket. Okay. And even from that standpoint, okay, so you make more money with Social Security. Do you care that inflation goes up when we got to give all these new programs with the migrants? Do we care about that? Do we care about the money that's now, or with the Inflation Reduction Act, all these people in the IRS that are now coming after people's taxes? Oh, you don't care about that because most people that actually experience that are the people that own the businesses. Because if you work for a corporation 9 to 5, they already take out your taxes. So people don't have to worry about that. So I guess they don't care about that. I don't know. It's like we are just so narrow-minded in how we look at things. We are so narrow-minded in things. Do you care that maybe our health insurance wouldn't cost as much if we didn't have this disease epidemic? That the Democrats and the Republicans do not call out and address. They are literally feeding us poison. So they can make money off of the medicine that doesn't cure the diseases that we'll get, but that just manage them. So you got to take this medicine for the rest of your life so we can profit as much as possible. Where are the men, capital M, men, that stand up and don't allow these things to happen? That look very clearly, bro, what are we talking about? We're talking about like the things that we get caught up on, abortions. Is that, I don't know. Let's keep going.
And, of course, if government is allowed to keep secrets, they're not working for us anymore. They're working for somebody else. They're either working in their own interests or they're working for some larger interests. And, I think that is the danger, that our democracy can be subverted. Teddy Roosevelt warned in 1903. He said, American democracy will never be destroyed by a foreign enemy. We're too powerful. We've got the oceans between us and any potential enemies, where we have a very, very strong military, a huge economy. We simply cannot be conquered. But our democratic institutions and all the values of our country will be subverted by what he called malefactors of great wealth, who will steal them from within.
Who killed your uncle, right? Who killed your dad? And are they the same people that assassinated Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Yeah, and most people don't know this, but Martin Luther King's family, Dexter and Marty and the rest of the family, Coretta Scott King, who was with me when my dad died.
That was a little bit disingenuous from 19 Keys. And I'm probably letting my personal bias out in what I'm getting ready to say. When you ask who killed MLK, I get it. MLK, it already came out that the government was behind him in the civil trial. It came out that the government was behind him being assassinated. Although the government may have been behind Malcolm X or stirred up the pot, we know that somebody within the nation, it's been very clear on who killed Malcolm X and the feud that he was having. And 19 Keys, as a member of the Nation of Islam, it's just a lack of accountability there. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but there's a lack of accountability there. Let's keep going.
Who then, was on the airplane when we brought my dad's body home from L.A. to New York. They sued. They did a lawsuit that received almost no publicity.
Meaning that they sued the government for the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And won.
They won that suit, a civil suit. The evidence that we have now is so voluminous, including confessions of probably 30 people who were involved in his assassination. A lot of them deathbed confessions, but that clearly shows that there was CIA involvement. Lee Harvey Oswald, the New York Times now admits this, was a CIA asset since, I think, 1957 or 58. And the CIA is still involved in covering up the final documents that are legally, the government legally is required. Congress passed a law saying that by 2018, all documents related to my uncle's assassination had to be released, and the CIA will not allow that to happen. President Trump ran in 2016 and said he was going to release them all. He got into office and he changed his mind. President Biden made the same promise. He got into office and changed his mind. Why did they change their mind? What are they hiding?
If you were elected to be president, would you then release the files of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Robert F. Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy? And would you keep that promise, which is hard to say as a politician?
I'm going to release all those documents.
The day.
Yeah, that's going to be a big day. I'm going to sign an executive order forbidding all federal agents, any federal employee, from lying to the public. And
this is both why I'm disappointed that he's not running, but it's also why I understand that the Democratic and Republican Party, and I should really say the powers behind the Democratic and Republican Party. Well, I keep saying National Party. Will never allow him to be in office right now. Well, I'm not going to say they're never going to allow him. They're going to do any and everything to keep him out of office. That's why I do not want him to just go join Trump's administration or even consider joining Kamala's administration. They're never going to allow him to do what he intends to do under the umbrella of those parties. It's just not going to happen. The people that are putting money up for Kamala, the people that are putting money up for Trump, they're never going to allow. They'll allow Kamala and Trump to entertain it, to win the votes from Kennedy in order to support them. But then once they get in office, they're not going to allow him to do anything. They're not going to allow him to do a thing. We got some big decisions to make.
I bet the executive order is going to say any federal officer official who lies to the public in conjunction with his official duties is going to immediately lose his job. I'm going to pass another executive order day one, forbidding the CIA from propagandizing American people.
All right, let's ease it up. It's 9:44. We're gonna get you guys out of here. A couple different videos that I just want to finish off with Instagram. Hopefully, we can, get to a little bit finish it off with some positivity. But these two videos stood out to me. We always ask, "What's the answer? What's the answer?"
I charge my boys rent every month,
and I wanted to show you. Oh, you already were listening. Hold on. My bad. I didn't realize it was already queued up.
I charge my boys rent every month. They make $5 every week for the regular chores that they do. I charge them $1 a week for rent and $3 a month for utilities and groceries. Every week they sit down and organize their money and make sure to pay their rent and utilities on time. Financial literacy is one of the most important skills that I can teach them, and this is one of the best ways I have found to do it. I want them to understand that trading time for money is very limiting, but having an entrepreneurial mindset and creating ways of making more money is the secret sauce. I charge my boys rent every month.
Just one of the answers. Just wanted to share it. Don't really have much else to say on it. Pretty self-explanatory. But these are the principles. When we instill our kids with principles, especially from a financial literacy standpoint, when we put our children in the best position financially to where they don't have to go to college, to where they don't, I shouldn't say go to college, where they don't have to beg for jobs and they don't have to always live in survival mode as far as having financial stress. To me, we're going to have more principled men. We'll have more principled people overall. And I just happen to be focusing on the men today. This was about boys, and then earlier I was focusing on the men. I think that we need to step up our leadership. That's why, I do focus on the men. I think we need to step up our leadership. All right. So this is another, for people who are wondering, what are some things that we can do? I wanted to share this video as well.
Imagine a world where instead of kicking our children out when they're 18, they come to work with us in our family business. And then when they get married, we give them a house so they don't have a mortgage and a family business so they don't have to find a job. And then we teach them an aspect of the family business so that when we die, instead of just giving them money, we give them a mindset, we give them a skill set, we give them a tool set that they can perpetuate the family's wealth instead of decimating the family's wealth. See, we want our children to leave when they're 18. You know why? Because we're Americans. Imagine a world where instead of kicking our children out when they're 18.
That would be a beautiful world, right? Y'all wouldn't be with that? Y'all wouldn't be with that? All right. And then before we go, last video, we got to finish it off with a little bit of fun.
Hey everyone, Jesse's here.
Hey, how y'all doing? Nice to meet you. Barbecue in the beer.
So let me set the scene. So this is Desi Banks, famous comedian. We got to laugh a little bit, right? So the title of this, or the caption is, "When you get invited to a white girl cookout." All right. So his girl's white or whatever. I don't know whether it's his girl. It doesn't matter. When you get invited to a white girl cookout.
Hey everyone, Jesse's here.
Hey, how y'all doing? Nice to meet you. here. Barbecue in the business.
Oh,
no
let me
casserole.
make you a plate of my coleslaw.
Okay, but y'all ain't got no
Homemade.
chicken, no hot dog, no hamburger, no baked bean, none of that.
No, I'll make you some chicken later. Don't worry.
Okay, bet.
Oh, let me make sure to get you some raisins on here.
Okay. Did you make this coleslaw?
I did make it.
Phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. I haven't seen you eat it yet.
Oh, okay. I will.
That's good, right? I'm gonna go make your chicken. Okay.
What is that?
Ready for my chicken? Oh yeah.
What are you doing? You're not gonna wash it? Like, what the hell are you doing? You just have that chicken on the grill like that?
No, the water has bacteria. Why would you wash it?
Is you crazy? Come on, mom. You accept that? Like, that's how you like your chicken? No. Okay, look. At least put some seasoning on that motherfucker. Like, goddamn, you off the coleslaw first. We ain't doing that.
What do you do for a living? You rap?
Oh, nah, I trap.
Like trap fish or?
Yeah, that's what you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? I can do that too, you know. I don't get money though, that's all that matters. As long as the money come in on straight. Thank you so much.
Desi, 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 Desi.
Y'all better not say it. Y'all better not say it. I saw all y'all get a little too excited when that part came up. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show nigga. It's my part.
Hey everyone,
All right, a little bit of laugh. We got to be able to laugh, man. We got to be able to laugh with each other. And that's something else that we got to do. So Earth started off saying we got to be able to, have more intelligent debates. I agree with that as well. But we got to be able to laugh, have conversations, interact with each other. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for today. We have to actually, we still got to, of course, do our 30 to 45 seconds. So let's get that in now. 30 to 45 seconds, meditation, visualization. It's Friday, so maybe you want to think about the things that you need to finish up for the day to make this the best week ever. That was the intentions that we set for Monday. Or on Monday for the rest of the week. So do what you need to do. Maybe you need to clear your mind. Do whatever you need to do to put yourself in the right mindset to have a productive Friday. So we'll take 30 to 45 seconds now. Let's go. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place. All right. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know why we here. Elevate on purpose, right? That's the goal, to elevate on purpose, to do whatever it takes. Let's become healthier. Let's increase our standards. Increasing our standards is the best thing that we can do in order to make sure that we're becoming the type of person that we need to become in order to lead. All right. We need leaders now more than ever. So we need to increase our standards, put ourselves in challenging positions, like we said before. Like we let off the show. We got to start putting ourselves in challenging positions, not being scared to fail, looking forward to fail. Failure just shows us the areas that we need to improve in. Failure and overcoming those challenges that we previously failed in. That's what's going to give us the tools and the skills along with the confidence in order to continue to elevate and grow in the ways that we need to. So strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know what it is. Get to that bag. Finish up that bag. All right. Finish up packing that bag. Whatever's in your bag, you decide what's in my bag. I got health, wealth, integrity, peace, love, and happiness. All right. So on that note, I appreciate y'all. Quiz already sent the emojis, the fire emojis before he left. Before you get off the show, please make sure that you like, subscribe to the show if you haven't so far. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Seriously, these conversations are therapeutic. And I really do believe that it's going to establish a sense of community, a community that's needed now more than ever. So here you have it. Like. And if you do think that there's somebody in your family, friend group, whatever it may be, that would like to engage or be a part of these conversations, send them the chat. Send them the video. Send them the video. Maybe they'll look at this video, not while it's live, obviously, but maybe then they'll come back and join the live and we'll just continue to build and grow with each other. So with that, I'll see y'all soon. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. Lock in on finishing out the Friday strong, but then let's also make sure that we're locking in and celebrating and having a good weekend and good time with our family and loved ones. So with that, I'll see y'all soon.